Greetings, fellow Gothamites. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5. Over 10 years ago, as the Dark Knight changed things forever, we lost the actor who made it happen. Heath Ledger delivered the ultimate performance that left us eternally wanting more. While we all thought we saw the last of his betrayal as the Clown Prince of Crime, two men unearthed, let's say, amazing footage of what he might have done next.
The job falls to us to comb over the files and documented exploits of Patient 4479 and this ultimate tribute to the role of a lifetime. Let's start today's session with The Doctor is in. All right, Dragon, right off the bat, I got to tell you, this was, obviously this episode is about as far removed from the found footage roots of this series, but I thought this was just phenomenal work at character building. It was, honestly, Dragon, this is going to be a compliment because I honestly feel like this is better character work than Nolan usually puts into his characters. Like, honestly.
That's true. Nolan's more of a scope guy than he is a character guy.
Dragon, I'm sorry. It's a low-hanging fruit, to be sure, but this has such an Albuquerque verse vibe to it with the montage, does it not?
It does. It does indeed.
So that's all I can think about. I mean, like, it feels Nolanized in the sense of how we're adapting things, right? Like, Selena's very much in character. I like the changes they've made to the Tommy Elliot character that we'll get into. It feels very much like how they would work all these characters in. Leslie Tompkins being being the person brought in to save the hospital that was blown up in the Dark Knight. That's perfect. That's a great kind of use of that character. So all of that feels Nolanized, and that's fine. And that's good writing, to as far as the adaptation goes. But I'm just saying, like, writing wise and characterization, this is like, it's more Vince Gilligan than it is Christopher Nolan as far as the characterization goes, and that's a very good thing.
It's funny you say that because I can't say a lot here, but I can tell you that Scott McClure, he does love the Albuquerque verse. I'm going to say that much.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I can't tell you how I know, but let's just say, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So this is a big one. This for me is always personally. This is my favorite of the further evidence bunch. Of the six, personally. Yeah, this I guess to give a little context, so folks, the way we're going to do this is because this is kind of like a prelude to the episode. We're going to go over. They had like a number. So the idea is, the theme of further evidence is phone messages, and they got this idea from, like, hey, one of the things we did was really cool in kind of our back half of season one was how we kind of teased up the finale of the season, or the climax of the aftermath of the season with Joker's 911 call, and that kind of gave them the idea to do some kind of audio based stuff, and also a little bit probably influence from the Arkham games, where you found like the little video interview sessions like the Riddler and Harley Quinn and so on and so forth. So it's kind of it's kind of a similar principle that has been applied to kind of like these kind of preludes and kind of like a supplementary material for further evidence, which is kind of a supplementary season. It's all kind of like build up and kind of foreshadow for things to come. So
now we're getting like a proper, like, would the next season be considered a season 2 with this being a standalone thing or what?
Yeah, this is purely kind of like a standalone sort. That's the thing. This is like stuff that you don't need unless you want like the full kind of like build and dread of season 2. So I think technically you can go into season 2 clean and just be in the thick of the action, but this kind of gives you kind of again, this is very much like, with the exception of the kind of how we inserted pages, let's say, into Meet Steve with the first episode. We don't have Joker at all during the further evidence. All the further evidence episodes are
right, yeah,
a character. So it's really fleshing out our characters and getting to know them personally before they do what they do in season 2.
Makes sense. All right, cool.
But yeah, so with the phone message one, which we're about to break down, it's basically there's kind of a theme of phone messages within further evidence. Because think about it, even within the main episodes, like episode 1, he's leaving a message for Lex Luthor during Meet Steve. Episode 2 with Pull the Plug with Dr. Arkham, he's leaving a message for the GCPD. Three, the ice, what the Iceberg Lounge call. We hear like making booking a reservation at the Iceberg Lounge, and then obviously four is with Bullock's date. We see him on the receiving end of Arkham's phone calls, and now we have the Bruce Wayne phone call
Yeah.
with the voice message here. So yeah, I mean that's the thing. So T, how did you feel about the little voice message mailbox thing we got here for?
I mean, I don't have a ton to say about it. I think it's interesting in the sense that it sets up kind of like a different side of Tommy Elliot than we see in the episode, and that's kind of like the kind of like the faux masculine side, who's basically trying to sort of be like the bro to Bruce Wayne in a way, and kind of like that sort of like friendly competition over Andrea Belmont and stuff like that. So it's interesting to me that's my big takeaway to it, and I'm not sure if I'm like way off with what I'm supposed to be taking away from it, but I basically read into, like I said, just this guy clearly has a different take on his personal like friend social life than he does kind of like behind closed doors, as we see in the episode proper.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So we set up Thomas Elliot at the tail end in like kind of like two cameos in the first season, because he showed up. Of course, the gag is like, "Oh God, if you know that's the creator without the Joker makeup on playing Thomas Elliot." You'd think very easily just could have been like a little Easter egg. Okay, we're probably not going to do much with Tommy Elliot. We just want to get him in. We just want Scott McClure to play somebody, and he could play kind of like the gag beat. He plays kind of the most hideous, deformed character of the show, and he plays the guy chasing Bruce Wayne's shadow.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always an inherent flaw of the Hush character, because Hush has always been an interesting character, but he always came out of like nowhere. It was always like this retroactive thing. Wait a minute, Bruce Wayne had a secret best friend we never knew about that wasn't Harvey Dent. What happened there?
There's kind of like a Harry Osborn Amazing Spider-Man 2 syndrome going on with it,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly, but Hush was like the original version of that.
Yeah.
So to break down, there's not a lot here. It's mostly expositions to break down the voice message. What we really get from it here is that, again, we're building up Tommy Elliot more than just an Easter egg. He confronts seemingly, and again, this is a thing in the comics where Hush does find out who Bruce Wayne is, so it's kind of a lot of tension here. That, oh God, he says, Bruce, I saw your exes, because the idea is he patched him out after Harleen Quinzel shot him with the shotgun. They called it a hunting accident. They called Tommy Elliot, who could do it under the hush hush, as it were. And essentially, that's kind of what happened in the comics, where Batman got severely injured, and they called in Thomas Elliot, and that brought him back into the story. So it's kind of a clever way we've kind of done that maneuver. So he's calling out, I saw the bullet wounds, the knife wounds, the scar tissue, bite marks, which could have been either the dogs in the Dark Knight or Killer Croc in the off-screen Killer Croc fight.
Right.
Here.
Right.
So Tommy Elliot thinks he knows what's really going on here. It's drugs. Bruce Wayne's on drugs, and he's in with the wrong crowd. The wrong crowd.
But it makes you feel good, says the George C. Scott smoke cloud from Cartoon All Stars.
Yeah. So it's kind of a fun, like a little misdirected. Oh God, did he?
It was.
Out?
Yeah.
Then we set up the golf game, which we're going to see during the montage here. Is we're going to assuming you don't bail on our golf game.
Oh my God, Dragon! Do you realize just how many like Albuquerque verse isms are in this like one setup here? Because it's like we're setting up an episode that's going to be very montage heavy.
Oh yeah,
we've got the golf, and then we've also got the whole thing of like Bruce Wayne coming off like a drug addict. Kind of shades of like faux drug addict stuff.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And of course, the irony being this is way before Better Call Saul. That's what's really funny about this. Anyway, so importantly, this is important. We set up Andrea Beaumont. She received an email saying that she's back from Europe, and she's visiting Gotham, and she's taking care of some loose ends that her father left.
Oh yeah.
So of course this brings about. So again, we've kind of weaved him into kind of the Batman mythology here, where it's like, hey, Andrea Beaumont was the one who got away in college. Makes a bet with him again, kind of doubling down the masculinity here. I bet I get her first.
Yeah. So what I like about this, like I said, is it very much kind of we weave him in just enough through the episodes leading up to this, and then this is kind of very much just a social call. It very much sets up one side of his character. So
Yeah, so on to a little context on the main episode. Not a lot here. So the Doctor is in itself. Just this is one of the most cinematic episodes they've done,
Oh, it
as you
very
said.
much. Yeah, this is like I feel like this so far. Like I'm sure it might get more cinematic going forward, maybe. But like so far, I feel like this beats the crap out of any other episode. Like at least visually, just as far as like the actual like go for broke movie quality.
Yeah, this episode is I would describe it as this is the full on like there is no crutch of found footage at all. I'm not saying crutch in a
Uh,
bad way. I'm saying the whole series is founded on found footage. Yeah. So the idea the found footage is taken off the table. So this is the practice run, kind of a tease at the full cinematic episodes that we might see in season two.
mhm.
Occasionally, and also a fun fact. So there was a pitch and kind of an idea. I don't know how far they went, maybe pitching this to a network or anything, but they did kind of have an idea that they did float, that Thomas Elliot gave them the idea for that if the Joker blogs were successful enough, or at the very least, it kind of gave the idea that if it got enough notoriety, perhaps if they were to go to a network, they would pitch a Gotham memorial show. Now, mind you, this was back.
Mm.
This was back when obviously the Nolan films were a lot more in vogue, where the idea is like, "Hey, Nolan's on the mind. Let's do a show
Sure,
possibly
sure,
set in the
yeah.
Nolan continuity, but we wouldn't need the Batman stuff." Where the idea is, it's like, hey, it's like the rebuilt Gotham Memorial Hospital after it was blown up, and we have
Okay,
basically
I'm
what's
not gonna lie. Leslie Tompkins being at the center of that dragon, I would watch that show. And you know me, I'm adverse to superhero media. I don't watch just anything superhero related. I would watch that show legitimately if that was the setup.
yeah, and you'd have Thomas Elliot and Leslie
Uh huh.
Tompkins at the center, and basically the idea is to be exactly like Gotham Central, only no police,
Thomas
so to
Elliott would
speak.
be like the Tyrell Wellick of the show.
Pretty much, pretty much. So that's the thing. It's pretty much Gotham Central, but with a hospital. So, which
Okay,
again, I love
I
Gotham Central,
legitimately want to see this show now, Dragon.
right? So that's
Because
the
we'll
thing. They
get
were,
there. Because I was really sold on the little that we saw of Leslie Tompkins in this episode.
yeah. It really feels. Well, we'll get to her when we get. The point being,
Mhm.
that's kind of the roundabout. This was so, in a sense, this is kind of a backdoor pilot for the Thomas Elliot show that never was.
Okay, that's interesting.
Okay, so the Doctor's in. Let's break it down. So Thomas
Okay,
Elliot.
really quick, Dragon. I want to shout out. We
Oh yeah,
have
sure.
Michael. I'm gonna try to pronounce your last name. It has a very interesting SG combination, which to me that's just phonetically fascinating. So let's give it a roll.
Scambati.
Michael Scambati. Yes,
Michael
is it
Scambati.
Scambati? All right.
Scambati.
So he just says, "Glad I'm not the only one who knows about the Joker blogs." No, Michael, we've been doing this for quite a while, indeed. We've covered every episode up to this point, and we plan on covering all of them. So, yeah, welcome aboard. Anyways, okay, go ahead, Dragon.
Yeah. Okay, so we start the episode off with Thomas Elliot. He's waking up in bed, and this is a surprise choice because I know for a fact there's like a huge plot point where he's very much in love with a woman in the comics. So I'm pretty sure this is a very completely a fresh idea they applied to the show, which is interesting. So he wakes up and we
It
have the
feels
surprise.
Nolanized, though. It feels like something
Yeah.
that Nolan would do, like from an adaptation sense.
So of course there's also kind of a surprise factor. We play with time in this episode too as well. Now possibly to its detriment later. There is kind of I think it's an editing choice, so it's fine, but we'll get there. Regardless,
Okay.
we have a surprise choice of he wakes up and not with the usual thing we've seen with the Playboys. He's not with like a girl. He's with Alberto Falcone of all people.
Oh, I did. I'm so dumb. I obviously I caught the Alberto, but I
Yeah.
didn't catch that it was Falcone.
So
Oh,
this is him before he gets killed
that's
by the fan.
great. That's great. I love that. Oh, I feel dumb for not
Yeah.
realizing it, but
So this is him like the morning
he's
before he
got the glasses
dies.
and everything. God,
Uh
how
huh.
did I not put the two and two together?
So this is Alberto before the day before he gets murdered, or like the morning of when he gets murdered,
Oh
essentially. So he has
wow. Okay.
yeah. Well, I assume it's the same day, but the point being, it's just him right before he gets
Sure,
killed.
sure.
And so that's the thing. Now, I'd like to, of course, I like to read into this. Where I like to read into the obsession with Bruce Wayne. I like how we they kind of like possibly showcase it here. Where to me, it feels like the way we portray Thomas during this whole thing, especially the montage, is that Thomas Elliot is so obsessed with Bruce Wayne, he wanted to become him, but in doing so, it's like, what if we saw Bruce Wayne as the Playboy, but what if that's all
Yes.
he saw there?
Yes.
It's like he has no idea about the Batman of it all, so it's like he wants to become the facade that Bruce Wayne has put forth there. So that's why he's trying so hard and he's chasing that. He's chasing the facade. He's not chasing like the true good man that is there.
And that to me is the Nolanized layer there, Dragon, because it's very psychological. The fact that he's chasing the Playboy lifestyle, while being gay. Like, obviously, you can be a gay Playboy, but
I think technically he's bisexual, given what happens later. But yeah,
right, that makes sense. But I don't know. It's very interesting.
It's the fact that he's Bruce Wayne on his own terms.
Layer.
Yeah, it's the fact that he's Bruce Wayne on his own terms, and quite possibly in overcompensating, he's widened his net. One could say, in terms of like, I want to meet the mythic proportions of Bruce Wayne any way I can. But yeah, we don't know all the ins and outs there, but it's quite interesting, to say the least. Also, fun little comics Easter egg. You'll notice, Tiki, he's wearing a necklace. That was a big costume choice for Hush. He always had this jade necklace that belonged to his mother. It's like a little green, little Cheerio looking thing at the end of the necklace. So yeah, it's a little Easter egg there. Anyway, so we have this runner where he pops the champagne. He wishes happy birthday, Alberto. He just forgets the name. Oh God. So let's see. So assumedly he's Sorry. Anyways, point being, again, out of jealousy, Bruce Wayne's trying to live up to the Bruce Wayne mask of it all. Now, here's the potential continuity issue here, where he says, "Hey, I'm having a party tonight," and then the door closes and our montage begins. Now, later on, I'm pretty sure we are at Alberto Falcone's birthday party, and after that montage in which many champagne bottles get popped, implying many days go by. Now, I like to think it's just we edited that out of order just for the montage. I like to think that no, it is still like the same day, but we just kind of saw like a day in like a week in the life of Tommy Elliot. Just leave.
That's what I read into it as. Yeah, I read into like basically every champagne pop is a different day. Like,
yeah,
is that not how I'm supposed to read into it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you read it linearly, that's the problem. Is that all those champagne pops are different days, but if it's like, hey, my birthday party's tonight, and then many days, and then back to tonight. I think it's an artist. I think it's like a Nolan playing with time artist.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. Like I kind of took it as like, okay, like we're gonna go into this montage that's gonna be like basically like a week in the life.
Yeah.
And that's gonna give us like build the character, and then we're gonna kind of flash back to see like how it plays out from there.
Yeah, exactly. We'll link up back to the day.
That's honestly how I read it, Dragon, and I didn't really like kind of think twice about it. And honestly, I think that's the fact that I was able to just kind of like read it like that and not think twice about it. I don't know, like to me that kind of like is a good thing as far as like them emulating the Nolan style without even really having to think about it with something that complicated.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's cool. So okay,
so I don't know, that's just how I see it.
No, that's the way I want to read it, Tiki. It's just after that's one of my favorites. I've rewatched a number of times. It kind of dawns on you. Wait a minute, that's a lot of champagne bottles. Wait, the hell is that? So let's start with the best part of the episode. Oh man, I love the Good Life montage. One, I love this song. I love Bobby Darin. But secondly, it's just
it's straight out of the Albuquerque verse. I mean, it really is. I'm sure they probably studied that kind of editing.
Yeah. So we have the chef's kiss edit of a day in the life, or like a week in the life of Thomas Elliot. We kind of learn everything we need to know about
the guy. A day in the life, Dragon. I can say Tommy Elliot is a very busy man.
Oh, that is for sure. So that's the thing. So we kind of learn everything we need to know about Thomas Elliot in this montage, which I thought was a really good visual storytelling thing that we do here. So let's see. So we have the montage here. So we just see, he's a guy who's again is just kind of aspired to be Bruce Wayne, who again is just basically he's living up the Playboy lifestyle on his own terms. And we see, we have to start with the shower, and then we have the elevator shot, which thematically we're gonna have some cool elevator shots later on. So it's like, hey, we're still doing the elevator thing. It's a cool looking shot, and we like using it. It's kind of a stylistic thing. Then okay, so here's a little plant a flag, Tiki, my boy, plant the flag.
Okay.
So he's working on a case, and he's kind of like you see him during this montage, like circling things on a chart. The Lisa Arkham medical file.
Ooh.
So again, being in charge of essentially being like a rung lower than Leslie Tompkins technically, but he's overseeing all the tricky medical cases because he's the wonderkin of the doctors there.
Right,
He's been
right,
given the
yeah,
toughest case, which is the Lisa Arkham thing, because again, she's pretty much on her way out. It's a pull the plug situation. And he's just
right.
kind of like, so that's going to be important. Let's see.
Okay,
So he's doing
gotcha.
some. Yeah, go on.
No, I'm just acknowledging you. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So then we have a surgery going on here, and I'm convinced the way they show is they have like chicken or something. They put like blood gel or something. I don't think it's like that. They use meat or chicken or something for this icky surgery.
I'm
But
sure they're not actually cutting someone open. Obviously, yeah, that sounds right though. That sounds right. Like some sort of like some sort of meat or something.
yeah, meat. Yep. Let's see. Okay, I want to highlight a comment real quick here.
Sure.
So Michael Scambati says this series is way better than anything the CW or Gotham. Plus, basically, it's way better than anything the CW or Gotham has done. Plus, the Joker blogs fixes one of the major gripes with the Dark Knight. With the Dark Knight Joker, and that Scott McClure plays a slightly more comedic approach to Ledger's Joker. Well, that's the thing; he's given more real estate to kind of combine and kind of do his own thing with the role because he gets to play it a lot more.
Sure.
Joker's only in there for like roughly 30 minutes of the movie, roughly.
But it's a damn good 30 minutes.
It is. It's great. Even when he's not there, you feel like he's there.
Yeah, totally.
It's a very Hannibal Lecter sort of thing,
Well, Hannibal Lecter, isn't he only in like 12 minutes?
I think it's like 17 minutes, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Depends if you count like when you have the fake Hannibal Lecter like on the elevator. That's the question.
And then I think with Jurassic Park, it's something like 15 to 20 minutes worth of actual dinosaurs.
Well, that's more of an animation thing. We can only have them here for like this long.
No, but I'm saying I really like it. Does fascinate me with obviously Jaws is another example. Anyways, we're veering
Anyway,
off topic. We can do
point being, yes, there's like we were able to add a lot, do some things that Joker weren't able to do just in one outing. So that is one of the great things Joker blogs gives you, and also just the
but
McClure's
it still
performance.
feels very authentic to what Ledger put out.
But speaking of that, because Joker isn't in this episode, but just seeing what McClure does here without the makeup, and he's pretty good, right?
Oh my God, Dragon! Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think makeup or no makeup, he's like the acting is really, really great. Like I said, I felt like this was a very professional production, if not, obviously the camera work, the editing, the lighting, and all that stuff is very on point. But we've got a really, really compelling and magnetic lead performance for sure.
I mean,
And
I know
kind of at the heart of it.
I think I blew your mind when I told you the first time, but let's just say you did not know that they were one and the same. Would you think it's two different actors or?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. All right, let's see. So again, the montage goes on. Lisa Arkham's kind of like a lost cause, and then we're doing some surgery. Then we have now during the surgery we have the golf call with Bruce Wayne and Hugo Strange.
Mm-hmm.
We have the call, and he looks to it, and then we have some golfing, some Howard Hamlin like golfing montage going on here. Now I don't know if you recall first season. So Bruce and Hugo Strange are playing golf with him, and remember, Hugo Strange and Tommy Elliot really hate each other. So the fact that they're all three of them are playing golf, and he's insanely jealous of Bruce Wayne, it's a very professional sort of thing. The reason that they're there,
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Also, I'm going to tease this up for you. There's a reason we don't see Hugo Strange. Obviously, we don't see Bruce Wayne because we couldn't afford Christian Bale, but we don't see Hugo Strange for a reason.
Okay.
We talk him up and we mention him, but there's a very.
And to be fair, they couldn't afford Anne Hathaway either, but they got a pretty good replacement. So.
Okay, it's a fair point, but at least at this point, we don't see Christian Bale. Anyway, So again, we have a lot of plastic surgery consultations, which now famously in the comics, one of the craziest things Hush did was and this is in the Arkham game too, where he made his face look exactly like Bruce Wayne's because he was so obsessed with him.
Oh man, that is pretty damn crazy.
Yeah. Like the Arkham game had a really cool thing where he basically he kept abducting patients in Arkham, and he basically performed surgery on them and stole pieces of their face and made kind of like this stitched together version of Bruce Wayne's face on his face, and he walked out of Arkham City pretending to be Bruce Wayne.
Uh-huh.
So so that's especially with the plastic surgeries. They have a bunch of women with lines on their face saying, "I want this done, I want that done." It's like, oh yeah, sure. So the montage of that. Let's see. So then we have the tanning. Oh, how great is that tanning bed shot?
No, I mean, like you said, the whole thing is just really well put together. It's all great.
Then we have a very, speaking of Albuquerque verse stuff, we have a very kind of Gus Fring moment here where we have like he has this fancy dinner in this like candlelit restaurant. They have like this waiter pouring him wine, he's giving him the look, and then we have just
This waiter looks very Jesse Eisenberg-esque to me with the hair.
little bit, yeah. So let's see. So Thomas Elliot is working the charm on the waiter, much like Gus Fring, and then of course we have him. After the champagne pops, he runs. He's running. He's at the gym. I'll tell you my favorite bit of acting from McClure. My favorite part of this whole montage. I love the flatlining patient moment because you see that the guy is just trying. He's just trying not to let this guy die.
Sure. There's a lot of really subtle stuff like that, and I feel like that kind of stuff, like beats of the character where we see he might be kind of a skeezy guy with basically sleeping around and then essentially throwing these people out as soon as the morning comes, and that's we have a montage, like part of the montage of the doors being slammed in people's faces, but at the end of the day, like you said, he is just kind of like trying to do his best, and he's trying to get by.
Yeah, that's the thing, Tiki. See, so the only time Hush has always been kind of an infamous story because again, he does come out of left field and everything. But the thing is, he's usually not written great, with the exception of when Paul Dini wrote him like 2 times, like in The Game and then like this brief story called Heart of Hush, which essentially is where we're kind of borrowing a lot of stuff from here. Now, that's the thing, is the fact that there are a lot of interesting layers you could get out of Thomas Elliot if we only applied ourselves and used them more like this. And
well, I mean, I feel like the fact that they basically give us a bottle episode to introduce him is a good way to do it within the course of an episodic series.
Yeah, and I tell you my favorite part about this one, I'm reading in
Zuko alone, if you will. I know
yeah, a little
Zuko, but
sure, a little Zuko-esque, yeah.
But Zuko alone was kind of like the beginning of his season 2 story arc.
Oh, for sure, yeah. It's when he was very much on his own.
Like, hey, look, this guy could be a lot more than just the bad guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think my favorite bit of this whole saving the patient thing is thematically, one, I love the sad bit where you just see him like looking out as the corpse is being wheeled out of the operating room. Like that bit always my favorite bit of acting in this whole thing. But I love that thematically Thomas Elliot he's a failed Bruce Wayne, ergo he's kind of a failed Batman. It's the fact that it's endearing that you see that he did try to save the patients. He is trying to do his best. He's trying real hard.
It's not like he's like drinking on the job or anything like that,
But it's like that's the thing. Like Thomas Elliot is he starts off a sad character before petty jealousy just drives him crazy. But it's the fact that deep down this kid he is sympathetic because he had like, what if Thomas and Martha Wayne were not good parents? That's essentially where he comes from. It's like, what if he wanted his parents to die, but it didn't go the way he wanted to because they were terrible.
Right.
So there's a lot there. So the idea he's a failure that you're kind of rooting for, which again, let's just say there's kind of some layers of Jimmy McGill there, the failed high-priced lawyer, where again you're rooting for him, one could say, with the Albuquerque verse comparisons,
Mm-hmm.
All right. So anyway, so after that bit, we have like he's then suit shopping. Tiki, he's suit shopping like God, 3.
Yes.
Give me 3.
If it couldn't get any more Albuquerque verse-esque, am I right? Jesus Christ! I feel like if there's one calling card of an Albuquerque verse montage, is it not suit shopping?
Oh yeah, like
I feel like that's one of the main calling cards.
One of debatably the best montages in the Albuquerque versus history involved suits. So yeah.
All right.
Anyway, so we're suit shopping, and then we have the X-ray. He's looking at. We have this really great money shot, which is actually I think the thumbnail of the actual episode where he's looking at. We're racking focus from the X-ray. And he sees Bruce Wayne call, and oh god, this is the money shot, Tiki, where he gets the text from Bruce Wayne's about Andrea Beaumont, like, hey, Andrea and I are getting drinks, or like Andrea's back in town, guess who she's called? So again, per little kind of a chauvinistic bet that he put on Bruce Wayne's lap of like, hey, I'll bag her first, again overcompensating.
Right.
But then we have the character at its core, man. They have that jealous, insane look of just this anger, and then we cut to him boxing with anger at the gym, which is a great cut. He's looking really pissed off, and then just like bam, 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 and then of course he channels that into, hey, there's a very Joseph Gordon-Levitt looking guy at the gym.
Oh my God, I'm Dragon. Oh Jesus Christ, I'm so glad I'm not the only one who thought so. Yes. Oh my God.
I don't know if I've asked you this before.
Thank you. Thank you. Like, obviously, it's not supposed to be John Robin Blake, but
if not,
I'm sorry. Robin John Blake. Is that right?
well, I mean, I think you might have had it right the first time, Tiki.
Okay, I'm gonna Google this really
Well,
quick.
that's
I'm
the
pretty
thing,
sure Robin is literally his first name.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know. I think retroactively we call him John Robin Blake, but I think legally his name probably is Robin Blake. Anywho,
Okay.
did you ever see the movie?
Keep going.
Did you ever see the movie Premium Rush?
No, it's Robin John Blake, Dragon.
Huh. Well, there you go.
It is Robin John Blake, which
Okay, it
is
is.
stupid because I feel like John Robin Blake sounds better, but whatever. Okay, we're going way too going way too far off topic with the Joseph
My point.
Premium Rush is a good movie. It's on my list.
Anyway. Yeah, I really like Premium Rush. And my point is, like, in that movie, Joe Squirrel has kind of he wears a red shirt and he has like kind of a shaved down hair thing. So he literally that's why I recognize him instantly. Oh my god, that shit looks like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He literally looks like he does in Premium Rush. Look at him. Anyway, so of course that brings us to the multiple. We have like the plastic surgery consultations. Then we have like he's getting massaged, and we see the smile, and then we have like the multiple champagne corks being popped. As Bobby Darin said, anyway.
Yeah, that the rhythm of how the champagne corks pop mixed with Darren's vocals. That's just chef's kiss. It's just so professional looking.
Yeah, and then at the end of our montage here, we're at kind of a nice quiet conversation with Leslie Tompkins, who it feels like we have an English actress playing Leslie Tompkins. Doesn't it feel like if in the Nolan verse we're saying if we ever had Leslie Tompkins, we would have gotten Helen Mirren, the player?
Yes. No, totally. Or someone of that caliber, like a Judi Dench or something. Yeah.
Sure.
It feels right in tune with what Nolan would have done with her, especially Dragon. I think like this might be one of my favorite adaptation choices in the whole series so far. The fact that she's specifically called in to work on the hospital that got bombed in The Dark Knight. I freaking love that. Because that just calls to her specialty of being able to, to take these places that have been wrecked with hardship and kind of like rise them from the ashes.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I'm just totally like absolutely on board with this. Leslie Tompkins absolutely feels just very, very authentically Nolan.
Yeah. Also, I love that. So it seems like
one of the few good Nolan female characters, and he didn't even write her.
Now it's hard to tell, but he's playing chess on his phone. Now I'd like to think he's playing chess against Bruce Wayne because that's what they did all the time as kids in the comics. Well, at least one of the Hush comic, they said they played chess. So I like to think he's playing not against the computer but against him. Anyway. So basically, Leslie Tompkins is expositing kind of what we had during the crawl in the staff verification episode at the end of season 1, where we established that Gotham Memorial has been rebuilt and Tommy Elliot is working there, and we've name dropped Leslie Tompkins in the crawl. So she basically gives voice to the fact that they've reopened the hospital, and she's used to running small clinics, but now she's running like a big hospital. It's getting back on its feet,
right?
And
right.
there's definitely a PR problem with the fact like, hey, this hospital got blown up. We have crazies in town now. Let's not get blown up again.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, she wants Tommy Elliot to run the place, but he's kind of living up the Playboy lifestyle and everything, and she can't give it to Hugo Strange, and this is a great nod to the animated series because Hugo Strange is pulling apart MRI machines in the basement, raving about a dream machine, which essentially is kind of a combination of he had the in the Hugo Strange episode of Batman the Animated Series, he had the device that would basically project your thoughts and record them for blackmail purposes. That's essentially what he's building, but the dream machine phrasing is a little Mad Hatter, perchance the Dream-esque. It's kind of a combination.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, so again, get some plot stuff here that Tommy Elliot seems to be very pro LexCorp, like being in charge of Arkham and being on the board of directors and everything, which has a correlation with Gotham.
Can I throw out a prediction?
What do you got?
I absolutely think that Tommy Elliot is going to use his charms on Luthor.
Yeah?
I absolutely think that's kind of a direction we're going in. I think we're going to get a Tommy Elliot Luthor team up.
Okay, it's
So
interesting.
I'm gonna throw that prediction into the ether and see if it sticks.
Well, the interesting thing with the LexCorp law is Leslie Tompkins raises the important question: why did Arkham get the huge cat you get bought and kind of like funded by Luthor before Gotham Memorial? And of course, the reason why we learned in further evidence that the Joker got his hands into him with that deal. Yeah, that's why
Right.
Arkham got priority.
But Leslie Tompkins also like basically pushes him to do exactly what I'm saying, Dragon. And
Oh yeah.
so what I'm laying out is I basically think that the montage that we got, also I feel like we didn't really hit this clearly enough. You're an expert on the show. I'm watching the show for the first time. So just in case anyone's joining us. So you know everything that's going to happen. I do not. That's part of the fun of this. Anyways.
This is his first time watching all these episodes, folks. I'm kind of teasing him along the way of, I know what's going to happen. Let's see.
We're basically playing like a giant game of hot or colder.
Pretty much.
All right, but you get what I'm getting at with Tommy Elliot and Luthor.
Oh, for sure. No, I do. So we also tee up the whole, she kind of compares like, no, he's done more good for the city, not since, we saw Thomas Wayne do now. Thomas Wayne, in the whole thing, Tommy Elliot idolized Thomas Wayne, which again kind of led to the jealousy of Bruce Wayne because the father he wanted, this kid had.
Sure.
And Leslie Tompkins mistaking him for a brief moment for Bruce, like don't you dare compare your father. You can sense
the Nolan-esque tension in the room when that happens.
Oh yeah, and we see some pictures. Oh, this is funny. They have pictures of the actors who played, Thomas Wayne and Alfred, but the younger versions. They have a young Michael Caine. You have the young actor who played Thomas Wayne, Batman Begins, like photographs on her in her house. So I'm sorry, it's just you're so similar. So, well, not that similar. Nothing short of surgery will change that. Oh, a little comics nod down the line. Oh, he's gonna make his face look like Bruce Wayne. Anyway, so again, he goes on about the PR problem Gotham Memorial's having, and then he so in case it wasn't obvious during the later scene with Selina Kyle, Tommy Elliot adores Aristotle. That's his big. He always constantly quotes Aristotle, so him saying sometimes evil brings men together, which is kind of a little thematic tease at season 2, by the way.
Which again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but very much seems like something that Nolan would kind of pull from the comics and kind of go nuts with.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, if he did a Hush movie, Aristotle would be all over that thing.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely, you know it.
It'd be like an opera scene and everything, man. The whole... So the writings.
Nolan's contractually obligated to have an opera scene in every movie.
Yeah, pretty much. It's either an opera or a ballet. We had a ballet,
right, something like that.
The
Some
Dark
sort of
Knight.
fancy theater production.
To be fair, if you think about it, though, we kind of go down from opera as each movie goes on. We start with an opera with the Mouse, then we go to the ballet that we don't get to go to, but there's a ballet, and then we go to a football game.
Oh God, right. Anyways.
Anyway, so let's see. Then we have, of course, like the writing's been on the wall, and Tommy Elliot has kind of like a cutesy little response of, "Yep," and it was written by a doctor. Nobody can read that handwriting.
All
right, so then as you said earlier, the whole can you approach Lex the next board meeting for me? Can you use his but use your charms on him. Let's see, and then of course you really
like I said, Dragon, we have clearly seen that this man does have the charms to spare, so I think that's going to go well.
Oh yeah, well we'll see how well that goes.
I mean, so granted, if he can get out of his current predicament, of course.
That's the thing, Tiki.
Yeah. That's the big asterisk here.
Yeah. So let's see. So then we have the whole "you gotta stop mothering me." And then again, this is I don't mean this to be like, "Oh, this is from the comics," but it kind of is though. It's the fact "you gotta stop mothering me." Like that's not a compliment because he had serious issues with his mother. His mother was a basket case. She was not a nice lady. All right, so he gets a text from none other than Andrea Beaumont. Possibly, I think it's a fake text personally for what's about to happen. I think it's
that fake. Makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
Because think about it, if Andrea Beaumont, at least assumedly, Andrea Beaumont is killing people as the Phantasm during this scene, one of two things happens here, Tiki. Either it's a fake text to get Tommy Elliot there for what's going to happen to him, or Andrea Beaumont wanted him as an alibi, but she didn't meet him, though, which kind of defeats the purpose of that alibi.
No, I'm absolutely on board with it being a fake text from Selene. I think she'd have the know-how to do that.
She has been watching him, and she wouldn't know that he's
Right.
wrapped up in the Andrea Beaumont thing. Anyway, so wait, she's dating Bruce, isn't she? It's like, oh god, Leslie Tom's like, oh well, Bruce brings it on himself. All right, so we're at the presumably we're at the birthday party again, assuming the editing works the way Tiki and I are hoping it does. At least the way I think it pretty much reads that it does. We're at the birthday party, and then we meet the Joker Blogs version of Selena Kyle, which is excellent casting. I think it's 1-for-1. What do you think?
Can I just say if I have really quick, before we get into Selena Kyle,
Yeah.
it is excellent casting for sure. I don't like the sound design on the party when we first get into it is like very harsh, and it's I get that it's supposed to be like that. It's just like my one little nitpick is like, you know how when you're watching a video and then the sound kind of spikes? It's kind of like that. Anyway.
Okay. You know what's kind of
Yes,
a little cutesy little.
I feel like this actress is maybe a little bit younger than Anne Hathaway in Dark Knight Rises.
Well, this is years before that happens, though.
Oh, that's interesting.
This is roughly 7 years before Dark Knight Rises happens.
Okay, that's really interesting because she does have an Anne Hathaway quality to her.
That's the thing. So it's roughly like 7 years or so before.
Okay,
Dark
let me
Knight
ask you this: was Anne Hathaway kind of like a fan favorite casting choice for Catwoman?
Well, no, it wasn't. I think it was very likely. I forget if she was announced in 2011 or 2012 or not.
Okay,
but yeah, it would have been. That's the thing. I mean, they were able to read the script for Rises. I don't know if. I don't know if they had. I assume the casting was public. That we had Anne Hathaway. We didn't see any footage on her. I think that's
gotcha. So yeah, I think they nailed the look. Yeah, absolutely. It's very interesting that we basically get kind of like two alternate takes on what a Nolan Catwoman would look like.
Yeah.
Frankly, I think I kind of like this one better from what I see so far.
Now, what's what's really cutesy about the overlap here between the Phantom Pains episode we had and this one? I could be reading into it, but I'd like to think that because in Phantom Pains, like Alberto's at the bar and someone like pats his shoulder. I like to think that's Tommy Elliot patting his shoulder, like, "Hey, I'm here." But yes, so he's approached by Selena Kyle like 7 to 8 years, pre Rises, and yeah, so we have some cat and mouse banter going on here. So like I always land on my feet, So how about your back? So she's hitting all the right notes here. Like she then quotes Aristotle to him, like the gods are too fond of a joke. Like wait a minute, that's
and
Aristotle.
I love that because it's like she must know that he's into Aristotle. She is just freaking playing him like a freaking fiddle.
Yep, she tells him she's been watching him, and he only knew the half
exactly, yeah. But that Aristotle, he's like, ooh, Aristotle, ooh.
Yep. So, and of course, she says, like, what do you do for a living? Well, first of all, Tommy was like overcompensating with how I wasn't going to leave with 2 or 3 girls tonight. Well, now you're just overcompensating. So then, so again, she kind of has his number right there. Anyway, so then he asks her occupation. She says thief, and he says, "What about you, thief?" "I would have pegged doctor. Oh, tonight I'm just going to steal your heart," which is a foreshadow, and we kind of do this even better a few moments ago because in the comics, the Paul Dini thing that he did with Hush, one of the best Hush stories that he very creepily removed Catwoman's heart and still kept her alive. Very, very creepy. So when he makes that threat, Tiki, he intends to keep that. So we then of course she then pops the champagne on him the next morning.
So that's what that feels like.
Which was a cute joke, which implies
I really like that gag. Yeah, that's a good bit of fan service.
That's got to be them having seen the script of like, yeah, we're gonna work that in there. So let's see. So we linger on we linger on Selena here as she's just kind of like waiting and kind of biding her time here, just like waiting for the thing to take effect after he takes the sip. And she's refusing to leave. And
she's like casually refusing to leave. Like, no, not just yet.
Just in a minute.
But
I love that. I love he's kind of put off by it. It's just like it's like the little
his spidey senses are going off right away.
If I don't know what you think this is, and he's kind of looking at it, you conniving so and so, and then he just then he drops, and then she says like the worst burn you could ever make to Tommy Elliot. "You're no Bruce Wayne."
Ooh, yeah. Like, ooh, that stings. That stings.
You think you're good at this, aren't you? You're no Bruce Wayne. And then bam, just drops him on the floor. And then he makes the threat, I'm going to cut out your heart. So, God,
All right, Dragon, I'm terribly sorry, but this running gag has to continue. Dad! Hey, Dad! I was watching this YouTube series, Dad.
He's not Southern, okay? It's not.
Okay, I'm sorry. You do it better. You do it better.
All right. Hey, Dad, I got an idea. Let's. Have we ever tried cutting the heart out of the fetal
Oh my
pig?
God.
Could we do something on that little? Could we try that on something a little bigger? Huh?
All right, so Dragon, right now my headcanon on this whole running gag with Dahmer is that Dahmer is basically like just time traveling with his dad, just doing like terrifying father-son bonding stuff.
Oh God.
That Lionel was just kind of like desperately making up for lost time, like, yeah, son, anything you say, son.
Hey, Dad, let's
You're
go
the
watch.
best.
Let's watch Time After Time. What do you think?
Oh my God! All right. Anyway,
Anyway.
time traveling Dahmer.
Oh God! Well, to be fair, the most ridiculous thing we have seen with Dahmer is Dahmer v. John Wayne Gacy.
Oh God!
You
yeah.
never heard about that, did you?
No.
Yeah, that someone did like almost like an asylum indie.
That's
film
not like,
of,
oh God, I was gonna say, is it like an epic rap battle of history?
No, it's just them literally in kind of a fighty fight. It's like, what if you put them in a fight together, like Jeffrey Dahmer versus
Oh,
John
that sounds
Wayne Gacy.
awful.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, so getting back on focus.
Yes.
So he threatens to cut out her heart. And then we have kind of the big like dread here of like what we're gonna see next time we're gonna see Tommy Elliot in season 2. Dr. Arkham wants you prepped and ready. You basically he has a surgery to do. Let's say
Oh boy.
he wants you prepped and ready in a couple hours. Then we have she puts him in the trunk and drives off, and we bring back the Bobby Darin,
Mhm.
And in case you wonder why, so of course it's just very cinematic. I love it so much. Oh, we brought the music in our montage.
Yeah,
back.
it's a great ending. Again, we have like the timing of the Joker blog set to the Bobby Darin, vocals.
The sting of the music, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Then we have a little kind of teaser of saying like the further evidence is going to come to an end. Therapy's coming to an end.
Dragon, I will admit that teaser had me pretty hyped. I'm not even gonna lie.
Oh yeah, and plus
especially because we haven't seen the Joker so far, and it's like, oh, there he is, and the Scarecrow. It's all coming together.
Yeah, let's just say the last further evidence is one you're not going to want to miss, Tiki.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, big thanks to Michael Scambati. Again, I hope I'm saying that right, for joining us in the comments. Let's see, Dragon. No final thoughts, right? We're good to go.
The final thoughts is one of my favorites.
Okay.
Again, it shows the range on McClure, best version of Hush ever. So I think that's we're pretty simpatico there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, our time is up, and it's time to reseal the further evidence until our next session when we attempt to answer the question: is there a method to the madness? With the Joker Blog's case study. Dad, I like the idea of drugging the drinks, Dad. I think that's real clever. I think I might use that, Dad.
Should we get champagne?
Oh, God.